Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your host Ibrahim Dawood, and I welcome you, the listener, to join me on our fight against drug abuse. Of course, this scourge, this pandemic is very serious in our country. With some of the drugs, we have reached top three, and it's quite serious. So, of course, whatever we do will not be enough, but nevertheless, it's a start. At least something is happening. We have our 1 hour on the radio every week, and that's helping the masses, alhamdulillah. I'd like to start off, we've had a very sad week. We've had the loss of a very prominent, businessman, donor, philanthropist, a man with a good heart, a man that I used to frequently, every week, get Jummah messages. And I think, his messages were very inspirational. Very inspirational messages, always giving encouragement for the kind of work that we do. And you would not expect someone to show that amount of concern. And it was coming. I used to get this message every single Thursday before Jummah. And I'm talking about none other than our late Mahroom Shoaib Musa. I've met this brother a few times. But the one thing was, I've always, every Friday or every Thursday, I get a Jummah message. And I would like to share the last message that it sent to me. It shows the depth in this gentleman. It shows the kind of person he was, the values that he held dear and near, and he understood the real purpose in life. And it is so inspirational. Normally we get carried away in our so-called, day-to-day living. We forget about the realities. And I just want to share the very last message that I got from him on the 3rd of October. He had passed away this Monday, I think it was. No, Tuesday, yes. So I'd like to, and I've been for the janazah. I can tell you it was one of the biggest janazahs I've been to. May Allah elevate his status, grant him a high status in Jannah, grant his family sabr, and of course for his parents who've lost their son, may Allah make it easy for you. It's very painful, but Allah has better plans. And we hope and pray that Allah give you all the strength to overcome these difficult times. And I'd like to, I'm quoting his actual words that he had sent, and I'm sure a lot of other people may have got it from him. But I like this message. It is so relevant in today's times and the way, people are straying away. And I'm quoting: "Spend your time wisely. Know that your time on earth could end at any moment. Let this reminder make you reflect on the important things in your life. How will the things you do affect your hereafter? Start making positive changes. Do much good deeds. Spread love. Be helpful. Stand for justice and speak up when you see injustice. Love for others what you love for yourself. Make those around you happy and try to lighten their burden by helping them as much as you can." And then he says, "Pray. Always, always, always turn to Allah, the best of listeners, the knower of the unseen, the best of planners. And remember, everything we have been through is nothing compared to what our brothers and sisters around the world are going through. Alhamdulillah, may Allah grant them goodness in this world and the hereafter. Inshallah, may Allah prepare us for a moment that is yet to come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best." It ended with, "May Allah prepare us for our final moment." And I think we all live for that moment. Our entire lives is the preparation for that final moment. And this brother had put it so beautifully, and I thought it was so inspirational. It was his very last message that I received on Jummah, and I thought I should share it because I know all his messages are very deep, very meaningful, and you can see it's come. You can actually put it in, I lost my other phone. Others I could have taken all that, put it into a little thing, because this man was speaking from his heart. So once again, Allah elevate his status in Jannah. Is a big loss to the Muslim Ummah in South Africa. And like I said again, may Allah elevate his status, grant him a high abode in Jannah, and may Allah make it easy for his family in these very difficult times. Very quickly, I'd like to move on to our very important speaker, our Yasin from Johannesburg. He's down, and I thought it would be very good to have him, because Yasin has been, if you have to ask me from our perspective, from my perspective, Yasin is, I would consider to be one of the cases that you would write off. If I use the street word, para, He was one of those. He would walk on the streets, aimlessly running around from one end to the other end. If the people that knew him in Johannesburg would have realized that there was no hope for this man. And alhamdulillah, this man, 13 years later, he's sitting with me on the radio station now, giving us interview motivation. And it was a long journey. He refused change. He didn't want change. But going back to the point that we always make about parents, it's how much you want out of it. That's how much you'll put into it. It's how much your loved one means to you. That's how much you'll put into the program. It's how, we worry about what this person says and what that person says and how he feels and how he feels. And we don't want this one to know and we don't want that one to know. What will the people say? We worry about all these things. But what we fail to realize, that loved one of ours, whilst we are preventing him from getting the help he needs, the way he needs it, it's our egos that could lead to his destruction. So his mother has made that stand, and today he's sitting here with me, happily married. He's got a 5-year-old son. He's got a nice job. He's got a nice wife. And I'm sure when I look at him, I remember, I'll never forget the story. And this one day, it was in Ramadan, and he absconded actually, and he was running out of the farm barefoot on a gravel road with his shoes in his hand. I'm not saying anymore. You all try and figure out who would do it, what kind of person will do that. That's the man I'm talking about today, who's an absolutely fine gentleman and made a huge success. Alhamdulillah, we make dua that Allah keeps him growing from strength to strength. Assalamu alaikum, Yasin, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm alhamdulillah.
Yasin, before we go any further, I've got my co-host here, Muhsin, with me. And if we got time, we'd like to speak a little bit about sleeping medication or prescribed drugs, if we have time. But for now, you are the man on focus, and we'd like to, get into your life story, and you can tell us more or less, how it started and how it progressed.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to people of the other religious faith. My name is Yasin. I'm from Johannesburg. My journey onto drugs started through peer pressure, wanting to fit in with bigger people at school. At the age of 11, I was already smoking weed. By the age of 16, I was a full-blown rock addict. That is crack cocaine. At the age of 16, I was sent to my first rehabilitation center. I spent a period of 6 to 7 weeks, came out, relapsed after 2 days. When I relapsed on crack cocaine, cat, coke, and sleeping tablets. At the age of 18, I was put into my second rehab. Same scenario, the psychologists or the ones that read from the books that don't understand addiction has actually made me believe that it was not my fault. It was all the pressures around me. So every time that I went into a rehab and I came out, I relapsed, because as long as you are made believe as a human, whatever we hear, we believe. I kept on relapsing. I was sent to 8 rehabs. My parents spent over 250,000 rand on me. And eventually there came a time where they gave up all hope. All avenues were closed for me. My dad was always very hard. My mom was a soft one. My mom kept on saying, never mind, leave him, he'll grow out of it. And eventually she put me out of the house with my dad. He had a restraining order against me. However, while I was living in the street, my mom was still a bit soft. I used to go home daily, have a shower, get meals. So once my dad goes to work in the morning, I used to, 10, 15 minutes later, I used to be in the house having breakfast. Gone, like Uncle Ibrahim has mentioned, running up and down the streets madly looking for money for drugs, wandering blindly. Lunchtime I used to get food, and then 4 o'clock my mom used to give me supper. So for the first 3 months while being in the street is basically I was still fresh, so I didn't understand what it was like to be in the street. Until my mom started attending the R.A.U.F program. Once she started attending the R.A.U.F program, the R.A.U.F program taught her you need to toughen up. Tough love is the only way we're going to go to get results. So the avenue of food and bath and fresh clothing has stopped because now R.A.U.F has started making her hard. And she attended program, I think, for about 6 months before I decided.
R.A.U.F started empowering.
Yeah, it made her hard, empowering. It made her strong.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
I think she attended program for about 6 months before I agreed to attend program.
So for 6 months you refused.
I refused.
And you were on the streets.
On the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst when I decided to attend, my intention was still wrong. That I'm going to attend program only to get back into the house so I can start stealing things again so I can support my habit.
So at this stage, Marv, basically what you were doing was you were just being selfish in the situation. And you were using the R.A.U.F program basically to still get what you want. So
Keep off his back.
Yeah, so what we say is like take the spotlight off ourselves and, distraction.
Don't attend for the sake of attending.
Yeah, basically.
That's correct.
Deflection.
That's correct. So that's why I mentioned my intention was wrong because it was totally for myself, for my own gain to get back into the house.
Yeah.
And I attended program for 3 months whilst being in the street. So my mom has already been in the program 9 months. I was sent to the facility. When I came to the facility, I was very arrogant, very disruptive, very rebellious. And my intention never changed. My intention was, I'm just going to come here to do it, to go back out, to get home. And when I was sent, and the first opportunity I've got, I'll never forget, was the Sunday in Ramadan. I absconded from the facility.
And yes, you ran with your bare feet with the shoes.
Whilst running, I recall Uncle Ibrahim approaching on the gravel road, and he stopped his vehicle and he tells me, jump in, I'll take you back. But I've got my shoes under my hands and I'm running totally barefoot on gravel road. And I say, no, I'm carrying on. And I run, I come to Durban, I go to my auntie, they let me shower, spend the night, whatever. Next morning she brings me back. As I get to the center, before Uncle Ibrahim could say anything, I turn around, I run away, I jump over a gate that is wide open.
That's the height of, I don't use the word.
It reminds me about when I tried to walk out of the gate that I came in.
You walked the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I remember when Muxin came in, how long you cleaned now?
8 years.
8 years. I remember when Muxin came in, he walked in, and he was walking out the gate, and I asked him, where are you going? He said, no, I came for the program. I said, but you're walking out. He was so high that he didn't know he was actually walking out, thinking that he was walking in.
Literally, you don't know whether you're coming or going.
Coming or going, yes. And I very clearly remember these things. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me a memory. I can remember these things. And some of it is quite, hilarious, when you go back and you think about it now. But at that time, it was serious,
So anyway, I run away from the center, but I jump over a gate that's wide open, and I run back to my auntie, and she brings me back instantly. I run away that same night again, and the same result. I go to my auntie, she leaves me to sleep, she brings me back the next day. I was sent to the farm. The first opportunity I got from the farm, I ran away again.
So that was only fourth time. Fourth time.
I go back to my auntie expecting a different result. But the results remain the same because my mom kept on telling my auntie that as long as you're going to entertain him or keep him, I do not want him in my house.
That's the height of addiction. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that's how it goes. You ran away the first time, the second time, the third time, but expecting them to react. But the good thing is that Now, there are plenty, while she's talking about absconding, there are plenty of them that have absconded. And what has happened was the family would fall into some kind of story. They'll make up a story. The guys are abusing us. The place is not right. Nobody's going to tell you the place was too beautiful. The programs are very good. That is why I ran away. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit in. So you got to paint a bad picture. And of course, in many cases, families would phone us and, of course, be harsh, very rude. Sometimes vulgar, and then we end up, eventually closing those files for 5 years not because we're trying to get back at them, but we have a waiting list, and it'll be unfair on other people because you just can't walk in and out. There are people waiting for months to get into the program. So once you're out for 5 years, we give the other ones a chance, and then we bring you back into the system. Okay.
Yeah.
So then?
So after the first time I ran away, I was brought back, taken back to the farm. I recall a Wednesday, Uncle Ibrahim came to me and told me, look, I've had a discussion with your mum and they don't want you. Your restraining order is still active.
And they proved that with the action.
And if you plan on running, you on your own. But if you go home, you will get arrested. So, in my mind, I concocted a plan where I'm going to fake a heart attack.
Lord.
Just to get out. So now what I'm trying to do is, if I'm going to fake a heart attack or whatever, I'm going to convince the doctor that I have a heart problem, that my parents are going to soften and bring me home.
Coincidentally, this chap that did this to us also had the same name, and he also faked a heart attack. They went to the beach, and I think he had some, maybe pulled a muscle or something, and then he faked a heart attack, and then we asked his mother to go and see him because in his mind he's got a heart attack, but we knew it wasn't serious. But I mean, we cannot take it lightly. We had to take him to hospital, and then he painted such a bad picture to his mum when his mum had gone to see him in hospital, and the first thing he told his mummy, the way they make me work, look at my condition, I've got a heart attack. And the mother is still upset with me to date because of the lies that the son had told his mother.
But that just proves how weak some parents are and how easily manipulated
Exactly.
they are. That's why with the programs we get empowered and we don't have any room for this kind of softness, because that's why we run a tough love approach. And in the long run, we'll see that our parents who are tough on us now then love us now, because it takes time for one to open his eyes. All of those veils that we have during our addiction. Yes, I just want to ask a question quickly. You said that for the first 3 months you were going home and you were getting meals and you were getting a shower. How did it make you feel when your mother started toughening up and told you can't come back in? Because I know at that point, when you realize as an addict you can't win the situation. Me personally, I started throwing my toys out of the cot, started screaming, crying, manipulating, threatening with violence, all of these things. That was what I did. So how did you react to that situation?
So at first I was very angry with them. It's like you say, throw things, break things. I used to sit, so where we were living, there was a park. There was a wall at the park. So I used to sit at the wall. The minute my mother has gone out to go fetch the kids at school, I jump over the wall. I start stealing tools of my brothers or whatever.
But stealing from your house.
Stealing from the house.
Anything that you could find.
I even recall stealing a pot of food from the stove and going to sell it.
Lord. Selling it for drugs.
For drugs.
So that must have been a hot... I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've heard of many cases where they would sell the food, steal the meat out of the
We had a brother that sold Qurbani meat. He was a butcherman, a blockman. He stole the meat from the butchery, and he sold that. And meat is expensive, so he had a nice time.
And then that's when my dad made it clear to my mom that we're going to get a restraining order no matter what, because if he does, at least we just phone the police and they will take him away. And like I say, that once she started attending that program after the 3 months and all this, the stuff love started coming in. I was angry at first. I think with that anger you build something called hatred. Because we are so deep in denial that the whole world is wrong except you. And as my journey went on, even in the farm, even in the center, I had that hatred, I had that anger towards them. I mean, I was rebellious. If you saying, if they say you need to stand in a straight line, I'm facing the opposite direction. Someone is talking, I disrupt them. During
You were
program,
very disruptive, I remember. You were very disruptive when you were in the center at the beginning when you just joined the program. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
and I think it took me like close to 8, nearly 9 months to start understanding that I need to work on myself. I have a problem. And 18 months to realize how serious in denial I was.
Allahu Akbar.
But the beauty about it is that once I started understanding the seriousness of my problem, I fell in love with the program.
Self-affirmation through self-realization.
And up to this date, Allah grant my mother the highest stages of Jannah,
Ameen,
my
ameen.
father the highest stages of Jannah.
Amen.
I always say there's no money you can put 100 million on the table. It will never repay R.A.U.F for what they have done for me. Because if it wasn't through their hard work, dedication, perseverance, tolerance, all love, I would have probably been on the street dead. Because someone that absconds 4 times, same result, being disruptive, fakes heart attacks. R.A.U.F could have given up hope with me and say, let him go, let him go live his life
But
how he
you
wants
tried, I
to.
remember this chap tried everything. He kept us busy while she was there.
But you know,
That is why when he absconded and I saw he wasn't willing to come back, I just drove away.
But sometimes, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes when the boys come in or the men come into the facility and they have this like mask where they're listening to the program and they're doing everything correctly, only to find out when they get released, we know already that it's a mask, but when they get released, then they show their true colors. Sometimes it's better, like with Yasin's case, he came there, he showed his true colors.
No, what we saw is who he was.
Yeah.
He revealed himself right, and it's easier to work with
To
a
work
case
like that.
than somebody. We're sitting with a case now where this chap, he does everything right, he does it proper, he's to the T, his program, he talks program, everything is correct. But we just sent him home and then asked him for feedback, and he's talking about challenges.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, he still sees himself as a victim.
Yeah.
You know, and even he's actually the oppressor. So he still sees himself as a victim, and that just hasn't started after a year. In the program, hasn't started his recovery. But fortunately, because his family is empowered, as soon as they saw the behavior on reintegration, they shortened the reintegration and sent him back immediately. And in Yasin's case, full marks to his mother and father. As parents, they've done their job. They've done it properly. They've made all, after initially looking for quick fix, putting in all the different rehabs, they finally realized there's only one way. We have to learn how to deal with him. If we want to beat him and beat his problem, we have to. And they've done just that. They sat in the program and they learned. And alhamdulillah, today, you know, he's okay. Tell us a little bit about your recovery. You know how it progressed from there.
So I spent 4 years in total in the organization before I was sent home. Once again, I'd say through the hard work of Marhum Ali Bhai, Uncle Ibrahim, working with my family, softening things out with my family to allow them to come back home. But
Yes, your family didn't want you. I remember that.
They didn't want me.
For 4 years, we kept him.
But there's something I realized through my introspection, or like Uncle Ibrahim mentioned earlier, that self-reformation, that I could not blame them because I caused a lot of psychological and emotional abuse upon them. I mean, an addict for 20 years, spending exorbitant amounts of money to put you into a rehabilitation center and coming back and doing exactly the same things. That trauma will live with them for the rest of their life. When I got discharged, I stayed to the program. My mom was very strict. Up to this day, she is absolutely strict when it comes to program. My wife is absolutely strict when it comes to program. I hold on to the program. I do my utmost best not to miss a program. I'll either miss if I'm working
You go to the
overtime.
program. Which program are you regular?
I'm attending Benoni
You're in
program.
the Benoni program. But before you got married, you got your wife to attend the program so that she understands how to deal with you. That's another big plus.
Yeah.
You know, when he found a wife that he was going to marry, and I think, Muhsin, you've done the same thing. You brought your wife to the program and said, listen, I'm a recovery. Please learn how to handle me. These are my weaknesses. These are my strengths. This is what you got to look out for. This is what I need from you. All I'm asking, give me the support that I can live a normal life. Alhamdulillah, and his wife has done that. I think, Muhsin, your wife has done that very successfully. And today, Alhamdulillah.
Also part of my recovery, up till this day, I give my wife all the slips if I use cash.
Oh yes, the 3 C's and the 3 P's: car, cash, cell phone, playmate, playthings, and the playground.
Playgrounds.
So how you maintain that?
I find it's a way to keep my feet on the ground. It's a way to remind me who I am. And the reason I feel that is because I was a very manipulative person. And my bank account is linked to my wife, so wherever I swipe or tap or whatever, she knows instantly. And I don't find it's a problem. I actually find it's there to protect me, because if I'm in the wrong place doing the wrong thing, she'll know instantly.
So you actually embrace the fact that the 3 P's and 3 C's are still in place 13 years later, where you're going to be accountable for your cell phone usage, cash, and your car. And of course, so how do you spend money when you go shopping? How do you handle that part?
So when I go shopping, I never go shopping on my own.
13 years clean, alhamdulillah.
If I'm going clothing shopping, grocery shopping, meat shopping, I'm with my wife and child. I find that is my best friends. The rest of my family, my mom, my in-laws, those are my friends. I can sit. And it's like I came to this conclusion that a person that tells me to do something wrong, the same one that I regarded as a friend, and told me, don't worry, you and your wife are having an argument, let's go out, let's go to the casino, let's have a top or two, that's my enemy. And someone that can tell me, hey, listen, you are doing something wrong, and I don't like it, I regard that person as my brother or sister.
Alhamdulillah.
So 13 years later, I still love the program.
Every week, I see you there. Whenever I go to Benoni, I see you there. You're always in the program. I don't think I can hardly remember a day when you missed the program. And then, of course, your annual, when you goes on holiday, you're on holiday now, and you came to spend the time with R.A.U.F, which is such it's such an inspiration. And now you're giving others advice, you're guiding others. You are seen as a respected elder, and other people are now getting inspired by listening to your story and sitting in your company. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Allah reward you for that.
Allah keep me on a straight path. That's the most important thing.
Alhamdulillah. Ameen. But Yasin, you've really, Allah, for all the effort that you put. Sometimes a case like your case, a lot of parents would have very convenient said, he doesn't want to change, there's nothing I can do. That's a easy way out. But your parents have gone that extra mile, and I'm sure now they're enjoying your dad, who has passed on, must have left this world quite happy, knowing that his son is on the straight and narrow, and your wife probably, they all, your son is happy to have that this dad is around, husband is around, a man that's very close to his family, puts full trust in his wife and his children and his son, appreciates the support that they are giving him. I'm sure that probably makes you feel good.
Alhamdulillah, it does. It does. And I feel I respect them for also I respect my wife and her family for accepting me for who I am. And what makes me love them as much is they do not hold me back from my program.
Alhamdulillah. This is someone who's embraced the program. 13 years later, I can tell you he's embraced. He doesn't miss a program. He follows all the program rules. He does whatever you tell him. And I know how arrogant he was. And sometimes, I'm quite hard on him. Just yesterday, I was having some harsh words. I was a bit, he came a bit late. And I was a bit, I had a few things to do and he delayed me. So I was a bit hard on him. But he never uttered a word. He just kept quiet and listened when I was talking to him. But you can see, when somebody embraces the program, they will do whatever that has to be done, and they trust you as a caregiver, and they'll follow the instruction. They'll do the right thing because they understand that they've got a problem. But somebody who's in denial, when am I going to get my cell phone? When am I going to get the cash? When can I drive alone? When can I go and see my friends? When can I go and hang out with so and so? When can I go to the movies or wherever? But that is somebody who doesn't know themselves. That is why they're challenging themselves. But a person that knows himself, he'll embrace the program and he'll follow the instructions because he knows there's a relapse is only a breath away. And a relapse can take you to a point of no return. And I'm sure, Yasin, that must be your biggest fear.
It is a fear. On a daily basis, it's a fear. But also, like you say, once you embrace the program and fall in love with the program, I find that human is so forgetful that the organization has put that aftercare program not to punish the person, but to make the person excel in life.
100%.
And the minute we as addicts start getting a little bit freedom, we tend to forget about that weekly program, which is very dangerous.
But Yasin, very quickly, you're driving a brand new car. You've got a nice job. How does it feel now when you drive down the road that you used to run up and down looking for drugs? Sometimes if you're passing by that way, when you think about, you do a comparison now, from now till then, how does it make you feel? What you were then and what are you now?
So, I've come Friday to the center, Saturday and today as well. And every time when I'm driving up Spencer Road, it's like I'm going back home to where my life has started. Because, like I said, at the age of 32, I was brought to R.A.U.F. And 13 years later, I would have been probably dead if I was still in the streets.
Oh, yes.
So, for me, everything happened through the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the guidance of R.A.U.F. to put me where I am sitting today. And that is home for me, no matter what.
So it's so important that Yasin is saying these kind of things because, I was just thinking, Ibrahim, you spoke about the denial and how difficult it will be to follow those 3 C's and those 3 P's even after you are out. And I think also it's you see in R.A.U.F., and I'm talking from personal experience, it's a humbling experience because when we go into these places and we are the center of attraction in your little circle and you think that you're something special because you're doing drugs, we are humbled to such a state where even though I work, I earn the money, but I understand that at this moment I might not be able to do what is required from me, and I give my finances or my life basically to another person. That takes a lot of humility, I think, personally, and also we can see it's a difficult thing for a man who works to just say, okay, you know what, you handle my finances. But in R.A.U.F. we learned that you had the chance, you didn't do what was required from you, so now you humble yourself and you start from the beginning again, and you have to be able to have that understanding that, my time will come, but from now till then, all I have to do is work on myself.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. I think we've reached the end of our discussion, Yasin. May Allah keep you going from strength to strength, and may Allah use you to empower others.
Amen.
Very quickly, we're going to start our discussion for our next week's topic. We'll start it now so that the listeners can prepare for the program when it continues. We're going to speak about abuse of prescribed medication and more specifically sleeping tablet. We're going to speak about that, and I would like our Hafiz Minty, who's a pharmacist, just to and Mukshin, I think you are also abusing Ritalin and that type of thing. Don't mention how you took it, But you were also abusing Ritalin, for your studies. You used it for your studies, and it was your brothers that you were abusing.
Yes.
And our Hafiz Minty, you all, the Hafiz Muxin, Hafiz Minty, alhamdulillah, there's two Hafiz Hufaz sitting here. Very quickly, Hafiz Minty or Muxin, either one, but I prefer maybe Hafiz Minty. Very briefly about the abuse of sleeping tablet.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we need to understand that sleeping tablets are tablets which are central nervous system depressants. So what we would classify as downers as addicts, anything that brings you down, makes you feel calm, and puts you on that low, and you just feel hungry and comfortable. And I think the most important thing to understand is there are some medications which are made specifically as sedative hypnotics, as downers to make you sleep. But there are a variety of medications out there which have a secondary effect, and the secondary effect is, that down feeling. So I think in the context of addiction and what we understand as addiction, many people know about beans, they know about Rohypnol, and they have Rohypnol addicts in their families, so they consider that to be an abuse sleeping tablets. Other people think about Xanax, and they consider that to be an abuse sleeping tablets. But Rohypnol and Xanax are from a class of medications designed specifically for sleeping. And so in this class of medications, Rohypnol and Xanax are not the only benzodiazepines. There are many other benzodiazepines which people may abuse. And then in addition to this, there are other drugs out there, atypical sedative hypnotics, which are new generation medication formulated in the 70s, 80s, 90s, many of which are undetectable on drug tests, but yet they exhibit the same effects.
So if you do a test, if somebody comes high and they're abusing one or some of these tablets, you will not pick it up on the test.
Definitely.
And then you will say, no, then there's maybe something something is troubling, or maybe it's a psychiatric problem, but in reality it's an addiction problem.
Definitely, there's many medications.
That's frightening. I mean, you don't know. You do the test and the person is negative. Yeah. And he's behaving strange. And we've had this. The parent will come and say, or the wife will come and say, but he's behaving, or she's behaving strangely. Or the husband will say, the wife is behaving strangely. We do the test, it's negative. And then what's going on? Then they say, no, man, maybe it's something, a jinn or something. Something is affecting, or there's some outside third force or whatever. Or we blame it on depression, or maybe she's, becoming psychotic, or maybe there's a chemical imbalance. But in reality, they're high.
Yes, and not only with sleeping tablets, there's many other painkillers. I mean, if you go into the state hospital now, there's one very widely prescribed medication. They prescribe it across the board for pain. They prescribe it for depression. For anything you go and you in serious physical trauma or emotional trauma, they prescribe the specific medication. And it has such serious consequences.
Tell the listeners what it is, because people take it very lightly.
So you get something called trepolin. It comes in 10 milligram, which is a little blue tablet, a trepolin, and 25 milligrams, which is a yellow tablet. It's insane how overprescribed it is in our hospitals, and people are abusing trepolin to an extent where they're becoming zombies. They can't even move anymore. This tablet really, the effects it has, it's big. It can make a person bring a person more down than perhaps even a sleeping tablet would. That's how devastating the effects is. And there are many other drugs out there. I mean, this sleeping tablet pandemic goes to the point where some abusers have found a way of abusing antihistamine allergy medications to the point where they're getting a higher kick from it. So very quickly, I think we're going to round up. For this week, advice to our caregivers, our loved ones out there, is that if you feel that your loved one is abusing some form of tablets, do take the tablets to the pharmacy, do take the tablets to a medical professional, do take the tablets to somebody who knows what medications are, and ask them, hey, what is this used for, and is it possible that it can be abused? We also around, send a WhatsApp to the R.A.U.F WhatsApp line, send a picture of the medication, we can assist you. But we have to understand that sleeping tablet abuse is not only what we know it as beans, Xanax, Rohypnol, 542. There's many painkillers, there's many allergy medications, there's many, if I may say, Schedule 5 psychiatric treatments, which have the effects of sleeping tablets and which users and abusers have found a way of abusing. I think one other very telling way is that people who have been prescribed this legitimately in the initial stages are put on a regimen of medication. And if the medication is not lasting for the whole month, this should be a very big major warning sign that they have now went from users
to abusers.
Yeah.
And of course, if it's not taken correctly, but these medications need to be supervised. It must be given, kept in a safe place and under supervision, because it's highly addictive, and it's made to a certain specification, and it can be more dangerous than your narcotics, because narcotics, they water it down to maybe 1 or 2%. This is like 80, 90, 100%, and it's made in a laboratory to certain specifications, and you grow immune to this thing, and you want more and more and more, and your body, your heart can't take it, and you can end up with the heart failure or cardiac arrest. So we need to understand that, and there need to. We all think addiction. If we talk addiction, it's narcotics. But we have picked up. I've had a case this week where we've done the test, and there was all pharmaceutical medication. There was no narcotics.
No street drugs,
It's all your benzodiazepines and all that type of thing, and it to the family. Sometimes they say it's not so bad, but that can be more devastating than the narcotics.
And just a warning to the parents, especially out there. Now it's exam period, and
we'll have to talk about that next week.
we have to actually dedicate an entire program, maybe next week, about the medication that these children use, which I personally have used.
And you
abused, and I mean I overdosed on it as well. I had a friend that overdosed on trampoline as well, and these are the kind of medications, especially parents in this time when it comes to
Extra
exams.
careful.
Be extra careful. Watch your child. Make sure that he gets good sleep. He eats well, because if those things are not there, it means that something else is afoot.
Okay, listeners, we've come to the end of our program. I'm sure you've got an idea as to what we'll be discussing next week. I'm your host, Ibrahim Dawood. I'd like to thank Yasin, co-host Muhsin, and our Hafiz Minty. We'll be back next week, inshallah. Until next week, I'm your host, Ibrahim Dawood. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.